So in that way, I'm actually leading what I in all the means that whatever I do. So I get to make decisions and choices. So basically, that is the form of leadership I take in my own personal life.
At home, I don't really have opportunities to express myself as leaders, maybe because I'm the youngest. But I have seen like how my father lead the family towards like the future and making good decisions for us, and motivating us, being very charismatic and confident, and also being willing to apologize when we make a decision and it went wrong.
I guess in school would be more like group projects whereby everyone take on certain groups, like plan, dedicate, discuss, or like initiate stuff.
Leadership in academic aspects is also more taking ownership in what you want to learn. Like there's so much things that the lecturers or professors can give us, but it takes our own traits of whether we want to take that learning that was given to us. So in that sense, taking ownership about the learning process and initiative to learn more than what others are learning is also a form of leadership in academic, I believe.
For me, I hope that everyone will work towards creating a positive and happy experience for children, all children.
Vision for early childhood is for the government bodies, for them to work closely with ECDA or the other like MFS to make sure that the curriculum matches up to what's happening. So the transition from preschool to primary school is more of a seamless transition. So and I hope that the professionals in early childhood field are being respected as much as the Ministry of Education teachers are being respected.
For me, it's for parents to be more aware of the services and schemes available to them when they need help. Okay, because if you see, right, actually many parents when their child has disabilities or suspected developmental delays, they actually don't know where they can seek help or when they have financial problems. So actually, I feel that they need to be more aware of that.
I hope to see that there will be enough teachers in each classroom for preschoolers, because right now, I think one of the main concerns in Singapore would be that our teacher ratio is definitely quite low. There isn't like enough teachers, so quality of it affects also. Yeah, that would be my concern.
I wish to see that we practice a truly inclusive and multicultural practice in Singapore.
My vision for early childhood education would be for teachers to be treated as professionals, and also maybe for environment to be more inclusive, to be more welcoming. Even if people ask, oh, in your classroom, are there anyone with special needs? The teacher will confidently answer, everybody has special needs, everybody are different, and not really classify with labels, or this child has autism, this child has ADHD, but really including them to the extent that these labels will be totally destroyed. And also like for more funding to actually build like more accessibilities like ramps and everything, so that teachers won't keep complaining that there's no funding.
I think ultimately my vision is to get all children with special needs be integrated into the mainstream classroom. I think speaking from experience with teaching and having come in contact with children with special needs in the mainstream classroom, I feel like they are not really being included and integrated into the lessons and even the teachers' lesson plans. So I think it would be good if teachers are more equipped and have better knowledge to
For me, right, it will be standardized curriculum, because now our preschool sector has divided into public and the private sector. So the children, when they reach primary school, some of them come from different backgrounds and they learn different things. So it's very hard to be standardized benchmark on them. So I feel that for us to improve the quality of our preschool education in Singapore, we need to have a standardized curriculum for all.
I think right now, the early childhood education that we actually see from the past is definitely different from now. So the teachers in the past actually don't really take into consideration of children with special needs, and they don't really see the need for them to have special education, and they just think that okay, maybe inclusion might work for them, but they don't have the goal for them to actually go for special education itself. So right now, I think for us as students, whatever we learn in class about special needs or special education, I think it's important that wherever we go, we will bring it with us, and we will also, as leaders, we influence people around us in a good way for the sake of the special needs children.
I think like what Nani said, by just spreading the love to the other teachers who are in the other centers, like because we are so aware of it, like we know about it and we are studying it, and other teachers in the centers, they probably are aware about it. So if we can just do our part and just spreading this awareness and love for special needs children, I think that's how we will keep doing it.
Like you mentioned earlier, maybe about inclusion, because like how everyone is saying that we should do inclusion, but it's not really happening in the classroom yet. Like teachers are still trying to find a way to say that this child needs special education or special school for his needs, but so I should feel that we should advocate for that special like inclusions for the mainstream classroom, so that it's an easier transition for them when they are in the same developmental level stage. They can actually transit. So that's why I would advocate for inclusion.
I would say that if I were to advocate for children with special needs, I would first advocate for the perspective change that they probably wouldn't. Yeah, just the idea of them being viewed as children with special needs. I mean, we know that they might not be developing, hitting the right milestone at the right timing or anything, but I just feel that the idea of labeling them as children with special needs, although it's supposed to be a sensitive label, it just segregates them already without even trying to meet their needs or something. I mean, if that label comes along with meeting their needs, then maybe it's beneficial, but it doesn't benefit them. They are just simply being labeled. Yeah, so I would first advocate for perspective change, that they are children who require a special attention, yes, and special modification to suit their learning needs, but I believe that every single child will need it as well. Maybe not as extensive as them, but like they will still need it. So there shouldn't be a great gap between typical developing children and children with special needs. So I feel that I would advocate for perspective change rather than like things done first.
I agree a lot with Shirley's point, because that was also what I was about to say. But anyway, adding on to her point, I think if you change the perspective of how people see children with special needs, if you change the perspective, you not only help the children in more than just practice, because if you can change the way people see a certain field, more people will be drawn to that. If suddenly it becomes prestigious, as the culture of Singapore is such that it suddenly becomes very, everyone wants to be in the prestigious line. That's why we've got so many lawyers,
Best words.
yeah, sorry, and then so many people want to be doctors, and all the high-ranking ones, but no one wants to be an early childhood educator where it is most important, and special needs. So if we can do that, we will get a lot more manpower without even begging for people.
For me, I would advocate for like teachers having, like mainstream teachers like ourselves, having like a little knowledge in special ed. Because like as much as throughout our 2 years in Wheelock, we took like about 2 or 3 modules in special ed, but we don't really know like how to handle the children, how we should plan curriculum, how we should do like the IEG and stuff. We don't really have like a knowledge on this. So I would advocate for teachers having like basic, like fundamental knowledge in special ed.
So like from my experience, I worked with a child with autism, and he was just put in my class, but I did not receive any special education training on autism. So it's difficult for me to include him in lessons. He was integrated, he was with the class, but he wasn't joining in with the activities. So I think one of the things that we could advocate for is training in special needs.
I think besides inclusion and acceptance, I think most importantly is financial, because it really takes a lot of manpower, like all those paraprofessionals that we know to be involved in this whole education planning. So I guess I'm thinking more of financial support from the government, not so much from the voluntary welfare, because they're already like in charge of doing all this. More, I think NCNS and MOE can go towards more subsidies, like including a budget for them in the national budget.
Actually, to make it compulsory that children with special needs have to attend preschool, because we always emphasize on the importance of early years. Then even if children with special needs, we should include them also. So we should start all this inclusion from an early age, because once they actually go to primary school and then secondary school eventually, then if by then we start the inclusion, right, it might be too late because the mindset is already there.
Correct. So do you think should actually be the ones to make the change for it to be compulsory? Who should be a part of it?
Okay, for one, we can start with policies, of course, the government policies. If they make it compulsory, then sorry to say, but no one can escape from this. You see, so once we make it compulsory, then eventually educators, center principals, all these, they have to follow the practice. And then from there, of course, they have to change the whole culture of the center, and then along with it, people's mindset, parents' mindset. It will increase the awareness of children with special needs.
For me, talking about policy, if perhaps one thing we want to consider is actually perhaps some kind of opportunity, like what we see in the Compulsory Education Act for like children with special needs to have even greater accessibility to rights to education, and also the rights to be supported in their education. Because right now I think there's an unspoken kind of rule that they can have access to education, but it's perhaps with a direction from a national kind of point of view. I think it will be easier and more accessible, even more accessible for families and their children.
Personally, for me, right, after undergoing those basic special need courses in my diploma days and general information about special needs children with that few little special needs in the curriculum, I feel that these are things that's not enough in the makings of me being an educator. Yes, they are introductory topics, but it's not enough for me to be confident to say that I can really help this child, I can really make a difference, and I can really truly be making his childhood worth it, to make sure that he gets everything that every other child deserves. I feel that as a policy, if the diploma or degree, whichever course it may be, or just even a training course that's introducing a teacher to education, it should have more content about special needs. Not saying to identify, but how you're able to help. What are the SOPs? What are the kinds of interventions and practices that you can do as an educator, that you don't always have to, I don't know how to do this, I'm not a professional. Because as an educator, you have a role in this profession, the responsibility to know it and to do it. So it's not an excuse just because that our school doesn't teach it. So I would think that it would be better if the policy would be that schools to have more about special needs education.
To send the child for intervention is not cheap. So if there was financial aid, it would help greatly.
Especially for families that come from very modest backgrounds, I would suggest like a policy to really reach out to them to give them financial aid and all the knowledge that they need to help to get through and help their children with special needs.
I think I would like to have policies that perhaps state that children below the age of 6, no matter whether you are special needs or are you typically developing child, to have the rights to education. Because so what if they have exceptionality? They are humans too. They have the right to learn. They have the right to acquire the skills and knowledge that allows them to function and survive in the real society. So by not having a compulsory education act for the children aged 6 and below and for those with special needs, are we neglecting them? Are we thinking that they are not part of our society? They are not worth our time to nurture them into fully functioning adults?
I think it's the setting where children with special needs and typically developing children in the same school settings. Because despite they have differences in learning paces, they should be able to have chances to interact in social settings. Yeah, so this interaction would help them when they grow up, because what we know of their children with special needs are provided with skills for life, like to work and such. But the thing is, when they step out of that home or that shelter, are they being accepted by our people? Even if the companies hire them, the rest are not. They are not aware of it. They have not come in contact with such children. So, in a sense that they will still suffer in that environment, yeah, but in the environment, in the work environment, because not everyone will feel that you are someone with special needs and I need to give you special attention. You know? So they have the feeling that if you are here, then you are just like as normal as us. So I think in school it's important that the government has this policy that despite they have differences in their learning, they should have settings that